You saw him in the bright lights of WrestleMania, walking out to thunderous cheers. But the day he passed away, there was only a quiet house in Florida where he collapsed, alone. Terry Bollea, who the world knew as Hulk Hogan, has just passed away quietly. But what people cannot understand is how an icon who earned hundreds of millions of dollars, lived in a gold-plated mansion, ended up with cold rooms, lost property documents, and a huge fortune that no one dared to claim. So who is holding what he left behind? Watch the next video and click register now to uncover his secret. His real name is Terry Gene Bollea, born August 11, 1953 in Augusta, Georgia, but to millions of people across America and the world, the only name they know is Hulk Hogan. He is not just a wrestler, but an icon of a generation. A man who can make a stadium explode with just a look, a raise of the hand or a familiar chant is associated with the nickname the Hulk. In the 1980s and 1990s, Hogan was not simply a sports star, he was an image of faith, of strength, and the American hero ideal where justice always wins and good people never give up. With each step he took to the ring, the audience stood up. Each punch, each fiery look is associated with memories of the evenings when the whole family gathered around the old TV, watching him like watching a childhood dream. But like every icon built on lights and cheers, Hulk Hogan cannot live in glory forever. No one would have thought that a man like Hulk Hogan with his bulging biceps, his booming voice and his never-say-die eyes would have such a quiet end. To millions of fans, Hulk Hogan was the unbeatable image of a hero wearing a bandana, his signature blonde mustache striding into the ring amid the lights and cheers. But in his later years, behind that muscular physique was a broken body and a slowly depleted soul. But the most painful thing came not from the body, but from the mental breakdown. His nearly three-decade marriage to Linda Claridge, the woman who stood by him through both the peak and the crisis, could not overcome the conflicts, doubts, and pressures of fame. In 2007, they separated and 2 years later, the divorce was finalized with shocking figures. Hogan had to give up 70% of his liquid assets, handing over $3 million in cash and ownership of nearly half of his business ventures to Linda. At that time, his net worth was estimated at $30 million, and in one signing, most of it was gone from his hands. The loss was not only in money, the family relationship gradually broke down. His daughter Brooke, who used to sing with him on the reality TV show Hogan Knows Best, later publicly refused her inheritance in 2023, as a way to withdraw from the unhealed wounds. The quiet loneliness and the cracks in his heart were what made Hogan no longer himself. However, Hogan still appeared in public, still calling the audience brother with a familiar smile, but his eyes were different, deeper, quieter, as if containing things that could not be said. On July 24, 2025, Hulk Hogan, whose real name is Terry Bollea, died of acute heart failure at his home in Clearwater, Florida, at the age of 71. But what shocked the public was not only his passing, but also the truth that was revealed later. He had been quietly battling leukemia and arrhythmia for many years without ever making it public. His funeral was held quietly, without lights, without a crowd, with only a few of his closest friends, Ric Flair, Vince McMahon, who had fought side by side with him to write a golden age of American wrestling. In the last moment, Ric Flair whispered a sentence that made everyone silent: he sold out again. Even when he was lying down, Hulk Hogan still made the whole world watch as a final sellout, for his own life. Ever wonder what's left behind the glory? There was a time when the Clearwater Bay mansion in Florida was a living symbol of real-life Hulkamania. With its opulent architecture, ocean view pool, and walls covered in trophies, the house was a regular on the Hogan Knows Best television show. It was not only a home but also a second stage, where viewers saw the real-life Hulk Hogan, the father, the husband, the warm man behind the undefeated wrestling icon. But all that glory faded over time. After a painful divorce from Linda, the Hogan family home was put up for sale. In 2012, it sold for just $6.2 million, far below its original value and far below what it once represented. For Hogan, it was not simply a property transaction but a farewell to a part of his life that he could never get back. Although he continued to live in Florida and chose a smaller house in Clearwater to find peace in his final years, the image of the old mansion with its dusty porch and shuttered windows still makes fans choke up when remembering the glorious past. When Hogan passed away, his remaining net worth was estimated at $25 million. For ordinary people, that is a large number, but for a legend who once owned hundreds of millions, appeared in the ring and on the big screen, was an advertising icon and a global name, it was a significant reduction. He used to live like a king, investing in real estate, cars, personal brands, and private business projects. But time and events have gradually taken many of these things away from him. The Gawker lawsuit caused a stir, with a jury awarding Hogan $140 million. Gawker initially said it would appeal, but eventually settled with Hogan for $31 million after taxes, but it also caused Hogan to largely disappear from the media. The divorce from Linda wiped out much of his liquid assets. The remaining investments, such as Postamania restaurants, Hulk Energy products, and Hogan's Hangout, attracted media attention, but could not save the overall decline of the once financial empire. After his death, Hogan's will was published. A portion of the estate went to his last wife, Sky Daly, who was with him during his weakest years and married him in September 2023. His daughter Brooke, as she publicly stated in 2023, did not receive any part of her father's estate. There was no dispute, no fight. There is only silence and distance. The house where he lived in the last years of his life is now silent. No one answers the door, no more sounds of the guitar he used to play every morning. The afternoon sunlight shines through the dusty glass, shining into the room where he used to sit and look out to sea. All that remains is a quiet void, where the memory of an icon who lived his life to the fullest has faded into time and oblivion. Terry Jean Bollea was born into a loving, working-class family. His father, Peter Bollea, was a hard-working construction worker, and his mother, Ruth, was a homemaker and dance teacher at a local school. From an early age, Terry was of Italian, French, Scottish, and Panamanian descent, with a strong spirit and a sensitive heart. His family moved to Port Tampa, Florida, when he was just a year and a half old, and that is where he grew up and began to form his first dreams. Terry's childhood was not a bed of roses. His older brother, Alan, died at a young age, a quiet loss that left a mark on the boy who would become a global wrestling icon. Although he loved baseball and played pitcher for the youth team, Terry's heart gradually found its true rhythm in music. For a decade, he played bass guitar for local rock bands, notably Ruckus, who made a name for themselves in the Tampa Bay area. It was those nights, the spotlights, and the cheers that ignited within him the desire to stand in front of a crowd and inspire. His path to wrestling came through a strange coincidence. At a small gym in Florida, his muscular physique caught the eye of two veteran wrestlers, Jack and Gerald Briscoe. They quickly introduced Terry to legendary trainer Hiro Matsuda. During his first training session, he broke his leg, but instead of giving up, Terry came back stronger, and during the painful months of recovery, a character was born. People no longer called him Terry Bollea, but now he was Hulk Hogan. In 1983, he married Linda Claridge. They were together for more than 2 decades, built a family and welcomed 2 children, Brooke and Nick. The Hogans were once considered a model family on television when they appeared on the show Hogan Knows Best. Through the camera lens, viewers saw a different Hogan, close, funny, vulnerable and devoted to his family. But the lens could not hold what was slowly breaking inside. Their marriage ended in 2007 after rumors of infidelity surfaced and the pressures of public life became too much. Despite the breakup, Hogan always admitted that Linda was the most important woman in his life. The following years were a tumultuous journey for his love life. In 2010, he married Jennifer McDaniel, who was by his side during his physical and mental recovery, but they divorced in 2022. But soon after, love once again found him with yoga instructor Sky Daly. Hogan had a new beginning. The two married on September 22, 2023 in a small, simple ceremony, but meaningful as a final commitment of a man who had lived many lives. Throughout his life, Hogan kept his faith in Christ. Despite his early fame and life in the spotlight, he never lost his faith. In the darkest moments of his life, it was his faith that kept him from the abyss. In 2023, just a few months before his death, Hogan was baptized at Indian Rocks Baptist Church in Florida as a rebirth, a spiritual return after many years of drifting. The Hogan family has gone through many changes, many distances. But deep down, he has always been a father who took full responsibility in his heart, even though he was not always understood. And perhaps, in his eyes looking out to sea every afternoon at the end of his life, Hogan still thought of a roof, of old laughter and things he did not have time to say. Have you ever watched Hogan compete with anyone? Comment number 1 below the video. From the moment he stepped into the ring as Hulk Hogan, he was no longer an ordinary person. From a bass guitarist in Florida with vague dreams of fame, he became a global symbol of power, emotion, and explosiveness. When he entered WWE, Hogan brought more than just muscles and a charismatic performance style. He brought something bigger than a movement, and that movement was called Hulkamania. In 1984, after defeating the Iron Sheik to win the WWE Championship, Hogan entered a period of greatness that lasted for more than a decade. But it was not just the series of titles or the spectacular performances, but the feeling he brought to the audience. He did not fight alone. In every step, every punch, and every time he raised his head to the cheers, people saw themselves there, the belief, the courage, and the pure joy of a young man. Hogan was more than just a wrestler. He was the centerpiece of legendary WrestleMania nights, the man who rocked the stadium when he lifted Andre the Giant at WrestleMania 3, the image of parents and children watching together on the small screen on weekend nights. And he was also the man who taught a generation that if you train hard, pray, eat healthy, and believe in yourself, you can overcome anything. Hogan's aura did not stop in the ring. With his role as Thunderlips in Rocky III, he moved into the film industry, followed by films like Suburban Commando, Mr. Nanny, and the Thunder in Paradise series. Those roles may not have brought awards, but they are etched in the minds of viewers as part of their childhood memories. He was a hero who did not need a cape, did not need special effects, just a smile, a look, and a wave were enough to warm the hearts of the audience. In the mid-1990s, Hogan redefined himself by joining WCW and becoming a villain in the NWO. That bold decision shocked the wrestling industry, and also proved that he was not only an icon of the past, but also a leader of the present. He helped WCW surpass WWF in the Monday Night Wars, a feat that few would dare to imagine. In 2005, Hulk Hogan was honored in the WWE Hall of Fame, and until 2023, he still appeared on the Raw stage to celebrate the show's 30th anniversary, like a flame that has never truly gone out. In every step, people saw not just a former wrestler, but an era that he helped shape. He did not just live in the memories of fans. He was that memory. Some people leave behind money, homes, and fame. But others leave behind an entire era in the memories of millions. Hulk Hogan belongs to the second group. His legacy is not just the victories or the cheers from the stands, but the very real feeling of childhood when turning on the TV and seeing a familiar hero appear, bringing with him courage, laughter, and the belief that good people can always win. Hogan was not a perfect person. He stumbled, he caused controversy, he lived a lavish life and then lost. But that is what made him so approachable. Because after all, he still got up, still continued to inspire. Not because he never fell, but because he always chose to move on. In Hogan, people saw his determination, his love for his family even though it was not complete, and his faith in God, where he turned in his darkest moments. His final journey, which ended with a simple baptism on the beach, was not just an end, but a reminder that every life, whether glorious or quiet, deserves forgiveness and appreciation. Hulk Hogan was the strongest man in the ring. But what made him memorable was when he didn't have to fight. When he was just a human being, living true to his heart. And perhaps, because of that, he never really left us. If Hulk Hogan was a part of your childhood, please share it in the comments. So that the stories are not forgotten, and so that the legend is remembered properly. Don't forget to subscribe to the Final Legacy channel to help us preserve other memorable lives.